Good to see everybody today. I've missed you greatly, and I appreciate seeing you again. I had a little bit of trouble while I was overseas. I got some bursitis in my hip, and I'm not able to walk very well. So if I hobble along a little bit, well, I don't know what to say, forgive me or understand me or just what, but that's the way things are. It's nice to be back. You just have no idea how much I missed every one of you. It was good to be over there. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about the churches in Korea. I guess you might have to say this is not exactly a sermon. It's a little more of a report than it is a sermon. Before we begin that, let me encourage each of you to begin coming to our Sunday morning Bible class at 9:30. In all probability, you're up and at it before that time, and you could be here. We're going to look at the Psalms. I taught this 30-hour course over in Korea on the Psalms, and I was thinking, well, I'm just as well to share with you some of the material that I gathered in the little booklet that I wrote for them, about 150 pages worth. It was not really a little booklet, I guess. But the Psalms are, people just casually read the Psalms. They contain some of the most profound and some of the most interesting things that we find anywhere in the Bible. Let me tell you this. You will learn more about the nature of God by reading the Psalms than any place else in the entire Bible. So if you really want to know something about what God is like, and you want to know something about how ancient people talk to God, the Psalms are the thing for you. So I really would like for you to come next Sunday morning, and I'm going to send a letter to all the members of the congregation. By the way, if you would like to receive that letter, put your name and address and phone number and so forth on one of the cards and give it to us when we go out. And I'll send you a letter also. That will tell you exactly what the assignment is for next time. The Wednesday night class will begin again anew. I have not yet decided exactly what we're going to study in that class, but that class can be very profitable as well. This is just a freewheeling class. Anybody says anything they want to, anytime they want to, and we discuss all kinds of things. So come Wednesday night, it's 7 o'clock, and join that class with us. This evening I'm going to talk about how to study the epistles. The epistles are very unique. People don't realize this sometimes. The epistles are the only books in the New Testament where the authors identify themselves and say who they are and who they're writing to. Very unique and very important. I think you'll see some things that perhaps you have not considered before. Well, that's kind of the way things are laid out for a while. Hope to see you at all those services. When I was a little boy, a man by the name of S.K. Dong, D-O-N-G, S.K. Dong, came to Miami, where I grew up. And he spoke one Sunday evening at the Central Church of Christ. My father was an elder there, and that's where I was raised. After the service was over, my father and my older brother and I went down to just speak to Brother Dong. And this kind of a peculiar thing happened. He was a Korean, a native Korean, but he spoke English, and he also spoke Chinese. And he took my brother's Bible and wrote in the back of it my brother's name. He wrote it in English, and then in Korean, and then in Chinese. Many, many years later, in the 1990s, I was visiting my sister-in-law long after my brother had passed away. I was visiting my sister-in-law down in Miami, Florida, and she said, "Jack, I've got a Bible here I think may have belonged to your father." And she brought this Bible in, And I immediately recognized the Bible. And I said, no, that was my brother's Bible. And let me tell you something. If you open it up to the flyleaf all the way in the back, you'll find his name written in English, Chinese, and Korean. Opened it up, and surely enough, there it was. I was just a little bitty guy when that happened. But the reason I'm telling you that is that every once in a while, my path would cross that of Brother Don. When I was preaching in Nashville, Tennessee, while I was still a student at David Lipscomb College, Brother Don came and spoke to us at the Lindsley Avenue Church. And then later, when I went to Korea, I baptized 2 young ladies. Come to find out that they were the great nieces of S.K. Dong. And so it just seemed like that Korea had been a part of my life for a long time. I've been going there for the past 8 years, every year, to teach. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful calling, and just such a terrific need. Right after World War II, Europe was just swamped with missionaries. Men went to Europe, to France, to Germany, to Italy, to Belgium, to England, to a variety of countries, and carried the message of Christ to many, many people. Men also went to Japan and did the same thing. They went to China. A few of them went to Korea. And of course the Korean War was going on and things like that. And like I was talking to Joe Alessandro, who was there during the Korean War, it left the South Koreans absolutely destitute. The place, I've seen pictures of it, the place was devastated. The people were poor. It seemed like everything was going wrong. I saw movies of these things. I saw still pictures of these things. I talked to people who remember those things. Today, the city of Seoul, Korea, is one of the most modern cities in the entire world. The airport at Seoul, for the last 10 years, has been voted the most beautiful airport in the world. They have many high-rise buildings. They have 37 bridges going across the Han River, a river about a half a mile across. It's a thriving place. What are the churches like there? That's a sad story. Right after the war, there were some men who went over and they worked in Korea. Among those men was a man by the name of Bill Ramsey. Bill Ramsey stayed for, I believe it was 17 years. Another man who went shortly after that was a man by the name of Malcolm Parsley. I know both of these men. By the way, I've never met Bill Ramsey, but I've talked to him so many times on the phone and seen him on the video when we were talking and things like this. I feel like I know him. He's married to a Korean lady, and they live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee now. He stayed there for 14 years, I believe it was, working with those people. What are the churches like in Korea? Having a very difficult time. Their buildings, for the most part, are very, very small. They're very old. There are a few new buildings. I went 2 years ago to the time of a dedication of a very nice church building in Busan, which is down in the southern tip of South Korea. There's another congregation on Jeju Island, which is just off the coast, and they also had a brand new building. There are a few new buildings around, but most of the buildings are years and years, decades old. And some of them are dilapidated and poor states of repair. Why? Well, because to a great extent, the Korean churches have been forgotten by the Americans. I think that's a tragedy. About 40% of the population now has some Christian orientation. About 60% are Buddhist. I remember last year standing and watching various people coming up to a Buddhist shrine. And they would stand there and they would put their hand on Buddha's stomach, a stone image, and they would rub his stomach and then they would bow and pray to him. I saw a whole raft of little written requests were hanging up from on little strings in this shrine. And I said, what are they? Well, they're all petitions to Buddha. It's more philosophy than it is anything else. And yet, there's a certain worship that goes on here also that is very important to these people. It's very difficult for churches of Christ to survive in that kind of an atmosphere. But that's not the only part of the atmosphere that's important. The largest church of any kind in the entire world is located in Seoul, Korea. It's a Presbyterian church. They have hundreds of thousands members. And they have satellite churches around that are under the jurisdiction or the supervision of a mother church. They have so many people attending the mother church that they begin Sunday services on Saturday, and they have services through the night sometime on to Sunday, because there's so many people who come and go. Well, unfortunately, there, kind of like here, bigness is a very important aspect of church life. Big church, a mega church. Oh, we have this and this and this. And as much as I don't like the idea, folks, it's hard to compete. It's hard to compete. They have all kinds of activities. They have all kinds of facilities. They have all kinds of equipment. Everything is brand new. It's up to date. And here are the dilapidated little Church of Christ buildings here and there with just a handful of people meeting. It's a very difficult thing. There are almost no Americans in Korea now. There were two preachers. There were three preachers over there. Only one of them is left. The other two have come back to the United States. And actually, they were preaching just part-time, going here to preach, there preach. And they taught at Korean Christian University, which I'll say something about in just a moment. What about this then? The American churches need to help the Korean people. I'm not making an appeal here. I'm trying to impart some information which I think is very important for us in the United States to have. As a matter of fact, in the 8 years that I've been going to Korea, I never have given this kind of report to any congregation. I don't want to seem self-centered in this, and yet, as I was thinking about it, I felt like this is something that really needed to be said and would be informative to each of you. When I was at David Lipscomb College, 1948 to 1952, there was a young man that was a student there also by the name of Haskell Cheshire. Haskell Cheshire was a very ardent individual who was very interested in Korea as a student. And so shortly after his graduation, Haskell and his small family went to Korea and began working. His idea was he would establish or help to establish a Christian school of some sort. And so through the years, he and some others established Korean Christian College. Their idea was we will be able to train Korean people to become ministers, preachers, teachers, and so forth, and this would put the Korean churches on a much better footing. Well, that's exactly right. There were all kinds of problems that arose because, you see, this was back in the early 50s, shortly after the Korean War. Korean Christian College got along fine for a while, and it began growing, but unfortunately, American influence kind of diminished there. And before very long, there were men who were teaching Bible at Korean Christian College who had just become Christians themselves. They didn't really know very much about the Bible. And so every wind of doctrine began infiltrating it. And now Korean Christian University, as it is now, is training no preachers at all. They have a very interdenominational atmosphere in the college. They have a little bit of Bible that's being taught, because I think that was probably maybe a part of the deed. They do have nice facilities. But because of the lack of interest, the academic quality just took a real nosedive, and the government, which helped support various individual or private institutions, withdrew their support because the academic quality was so poor. Now they're trying to improve that, but it's a very, very, very long road ahead for them. They now have a man who is a Korean, who is a PhD in religion, and he is teaching Bible classes there. One big problem: he's an extreme theological liberal. He does not believe in the inspiration of the Bible the same as you and I do. And it's a very, very difficult situation. Well, what are they doing then? Well, there is a I don't know what they call it, an institution or just what, but there's a group called themselves the Bible Correspondence Center. It's been in existence for decades. It's operated by a man by the name of Song Young. And Song is a very dear friend of mine. Song operates this, and the purpose is twofold. First of all, they have thousands of people, Koreans, enrolled in Bible correspondence courses all over Korea and into some of the foreign countries as well. They conduct they have a website which is very, very effective. I didn't know this until just a very, very short time ago. When I was there a year ago, they asked me, said, "Jack, would you make some 30-minute videos for us for our website?" And we talked about what to do. And well, the way it ended up, I made 3 30-minute videos on the intertestamental period. And then I made either 2 or 3 on the relationship of grace, faith, and works. And then I spoke for 3 of these 30-minute videos on the covenants. And very frankly, I thought, well, you know, I'm glad to do this. Fortunately, I had the material right there with me. And lo and behold, I did this last year, and the first year of their being on the website, for this intertestamental period, it was video, it was a PowerPoint presentation and all, with Korean titles, you know, to it. They have had over 20,000 hits on that thing. I would never have supposed anything like that. But I think that this does show 2 things. One is that there is an interest in Korea in the Bible. And the second thing is that many of these hits, I've forgotten what the percentage was, about 30% though, many of these hits came from other countries in the Far East. The website is doing a wonderful job. This year, I did 7 videos on how we got the Bible, similar to what we did here. And then I did, this fella is a slave driver, believe me. He said, "Well, Jack, we need one more set. And what do you have?" I did 3 videos on historical Bible geography and archaeology. And, you know, it's fun to do, but I'll tell you, I worked my hide off. Literally, I looked for some of my hide and it was all gone, you know. But it's such a pleasure doing these things. It's a wonderful thing. So next year, I'm going to be doing the book of Romans. I don't know what else, but there'll be one other course. But this will be a 60-hour course on the book of Romans. And then we will do a whole group of video presentations on the theme of Romans that they'll put on their website. And I have no idea what else will come up, but they always find things to do. I teach on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. We begin at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I teach straight through, an hour off for lunch, but I teach straight through until 4 in the afternoon. So that's 6 hours of classroom teaching, and I do that 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Then I spend Monday, Wednesday, and Friday trying to get ready for Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then on top of that, I preach every Sunday. So, and then I do these videos. And so I'm a busy little guy over there. But folks, it is a thrill beyond words. Why do something like this? Well, there's a sad part to this. BCC, the Bible Correspondence Center, they are now the only entity operated by Churches of Christ that is training Korean preachers. In some ways, that is a very, very sad situation. The classes usually are about 20 in number, and very, very good. Not only are there preachers from Churches of Christ there, Korean preachers, but there have been in the past a number of preachers from a variety of denominations. And a number of those men have been baptized and have begun teaching and preaching for Churches of Christ there. Why? Because in their training, in the seminaries of Korea generally, in their training, they get almost no Bible training. What is their training then? It's training in religio-social things. And so there's very, very little in reference to biblical topics that are discussed or that are taught. And so a number of them have come to BCC because that's all we do is teach Bible. And every year I write a little book. It's usually about 150 single-spaced pages on whatever topic that I'm teaching that time. I don't sell the books. I write the books. I send the disc or the file. I send it over there. They print it up and they pass them out to the class, and there's no charge for any of it. It does cost, but that cost is absorbed by various people. There is absolutely no profit to anybody on any of this. It's just, folks, I cannot tell you what a wonderful thrill it is to be in a situation like that where you are helping to train people. There are a lot of women who come because they're intensely interested not in just Sunday school type material, but the material goes into the Greek text, it goes into the meaning of words, it goes into the historical background. All of these things are part of the things that are written in the books and that we talk about. I really don't have any idea of how many of these booklets I've written, to tell you the truth. I guess I've got copies of them at home, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 or 15, something like that, I would suppose. Korea is a place of great opportunity for Churches of Christ, but it is a place of great difficulty. There are many obstacles. There are few people who know what's going on in America. There are few people who even know what's going on in Korea. I'm not asking you, I'm not trying to raise money or anything like that, but I am asking you this. Pray for these people. If you feel in your heart that you would like to make a contribution, then that could be arranged, and money could be sent to them and all. But that isn't the thrust of what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is these people need to know that they are in your prayers. They need to know that they are in your thoughts. They need to know that there is some spiritual and moral support. They need to feel this. I talk to them on the phone. I write to them and so forth. And some of the students have written emails to me. And I would like to read some of these to you, but I'm not going to. They're complimentary. And you would think, why would they compliment you? But they're complimentary, and they're so appreciative of so much. And I tell you, I sit down and read those things, and it's in broken English and all of that. And even this PhD that I mentioned to you a moment ago, very liberal man, he listened to my lectures and he did some translating for me. He said, "Those are wonderful lessons. You are a great teacher." And I thought to myself, he has a PhD from one of the premier universities in our country. I don't know whether I touched the heart of that man or not, but I do know that the hearts of some of those people were touched. They were encouraged. Folks, I go over every year and stay for 5 or 6 weeks and teach. I didn't know this until just the other day. There's just one other teacher from America, well, actually just one other teacher, that goes and stays for 5 weeks at a time. There are a number of teachers who come and stay for 1 week, and they teach a concentrated course. I didn't know that there was only 2 of us. I thought there were a whole raft of teachers that they circulated. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe the reason they invited me is because they couldn't get anybody else to go. Whatever the reason was, it is a wonderful work. It's a work that as long as I'm able, as long as my health holds up, and the Lord blessed me abundantly, as long as I'm able to do that, I'm going to do it. I do not feel even the slightest obligation to do it, not the slightest. But I feel this, and I wish I could impart some of this to you, each of you. I feel like that is a great thrill of my life. Great opportunity. It's wonderful to be there and just know that these people are hungry and thirsting for the Word. Let's bow in prayer, please. Lord God, our Father, thank you for the opportunities you give us, not just in Korea, Lord, but in our next door neighbors, the people of our community. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to share your word. Bless those people in Korea, Lord, and your people all over the world, people who are struggling, people whose faith is deep, and yet is always challenged. Bless us, Father, that we may bless them. Help them to know of our own spiritual and moral support. Help us to do your will, Lord, and carry your gospel to those who are away. Through Christ we pray. Amen. We're going to sing an invitation song. If you are in any way subject to the invitation of Christ, you're invited to come. Let's stand together and sing, please.